On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are here in my dad's old shop where he's got a project going on GM's most popular / worst transmission they ever made. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today we are here with a 4L60 and not a 4L60E. And as you guys know, we've done a lot of 4L everythings on this channel. We've done, well, no 700R4s, but 4L60s, 4L60Es, 4L80s, 4L65s like the Trailblazer, a lot of them. And GM put this transmission in everything for
82 to 93.
Oh, yeah. And then longer with the E.
I think longer, yeah.
Yeah, so 30, 40 years. They got all 30 years minimum out of this transmission.
I think 93 was the last, I'm looking at my book, I think 93 was the last year for the 4L60.
Non-electronic.
Right, and then the 4L60E.
Yeah, and kept going till at least 2002.
I've got a book on one of them around here somewhere, but it doesn't say.
Doesn't have years on it? Just because they kept making it after the book was made.
This book was made in 93.
Oh, wow.
But
the book's old.
Yeah, it's I've done a bunch of trainings with that book.
Absolutely. But the thing with this transmission is
this is a 700R4, by the way, that I'm working on.
Oh, I thought
this is a 1983 700R4 in a 83 S15 with a 2.8 liter little old 60-degree V8 with 100 horsepower that was really...
V6.
V6, yeah.
With 100 horsepower.
With 100 horsepower that was kind of a gutless. It was like a Briggs & Stratton engine in a pickup truck.
And it somehow still killed this transmission, which should have been impossible with that little horsepower.
Yeah, I don't remember what the failure was on this transmission, but this is one... I haven't worked in this shop for years. It's just turned into kind of a storage facility, but I'm ready to dig it out. But the I started on this transmission in 2016.
Oh, okay.
And I did all the hard parts, rebuilt the rotating assembly.
Yep. Got
the case all done, which the case is right here actually. It's been sitting right here since 2016. Let me have my iced tea.
Yeah, there are spiders growing on this thing actually.
And
it does look brand new under there.
Yeah, so I come.
All the check balls are in?
Check balls are in. This I got to put the 2.4 servo in, and on this side yet.
Yep.
But this has been sitting right here, covered up. The front pump's all in. This thing is it's been under this cover now for 8 years, and the reason that is I told him I'd do it for him for free just to help him out, and he brought the transmission up and we gutted it. I got all the parts, put it back together, started putting it back together, and one night about 5 o'clock we were done with this much of the assembly. I've got the governor in. Anyways, we were done with this much of the machine, and it was time to go home, and the only thing was left was the valve body. And I said, well, let me show you how I do a valve body. So he said, well, I can do that, and he took it home. Well, I sent him home with my valve tray, which I think you borrowed.
No, that's not possible.
Yeah, it's not here anymore. Anyways.
But I haven't done a transmission without you ever. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I just go get new ones now.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I sent it home with him, and he brought the valve body back a week later in a box, and evidently he'd dropped it. And he'd taken everything out to clean it all at once.
Stuff went everywhere. And
he lost track of where everything went. Yep. So I said, okay, well, we'll have to just figure out where it goes. It shouldn't be hard. So, I've got lots of 700R4s, 4L60s. So I started, looking at other transmissions to figure out what went where. But there was some parts in it that I couldn't identify. And I've talked to lots of people at lots of transmission shops. Of course, the viewers. So there'll be somebody on here who say, yeah, I've worked on that before.
Right. They do that transmission.
Yeah.
But that one.
This is an oddball. And it was, and I'll show you why. But, here's a bunch of just old 700s, there's I wrote that on there. That's an 82 to 87. I've got different ones here through the 80s, and but none of them are like this one.
This one has pressure switches screwed into it.
Yeah, the later they kept putting more and more pressure. Well, it depends on the model. Depends on what it was in, because they put pressure switches on for feedback to the ECM to tell it when to shift and so on. But this is the old original valve body that came on this old 700 R4. And you can see it set around here and drew a little moisture.
It did.
And I finally, the other day, I just said, you know, I'm done with this. I want to move back into my shop and start working. I want this thing finished so that I can have my shop back, have my solvent tank back. And hence, I went on a mission, started doing some more investigation. Well, when I found out exactly, I didn't even know what vehicle it was out of. But when he told me what it was out of, I thought, I'm just going to get on Facebook and see if I can find one.
Yeah.
Well, I found one in Nebraska. So I sent the owner up the next day. He drove clear to Nebraska, buys the transmission, brings it back down here, and the next day I gutted it, pulled the valve body out. And the reason the whole mystery here now, just for viewers' sake,
You got
if you draw a line right through here, this is one valve body, this is another valve body, and they're all lined up according to their spools where they go. But the mystery in this machine was this one right here.
Why does it look ate up?
Oh, it's okay. That's just
got like burrs all over the.
Yeah, that's just
casting.
That's
marks,
just casting
actually.
marks.
I got it.
So those of you who are familiar with 700 R4s, remember this is a mystery R4.
Yeah.
So I've never met anybody who could tell me what this was, but this is the 1-2 servo, and this little servo goes together like that. That's your 1-2 servo, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, this is the 1-2 servo. Now I didn't even know where this went. I wasn't sure, but now a viewer might say, well, why didn't you know that? Well, that turns out
is a connected spool valve.
Replaces this.
But only this is the S15 one, and that's the 700
This is the 19. This is 82 was the first year, right? I think 82. Yeah. 82 was the first year. Like 82, 83. This is an 83 model. So this obviously was a first gen setup.
I see.
And there are no pictures of this in any book that I've ever found. Now somebody might say, "Oh, you just looked at the wrong book." Well, I've looked in GM books. I gave up looking a long time ago and just let this thing set.
Sure.
Waiting on him to help me, but finally I just said, I'm going to take over and get this done. So what I did was got this, and once I tore it down, that solved the mystery, right?
Is this one, so this one's split. Did they put a spring in there to soften the
Nope.
shift?
Oh, no. Well, the reason they did this, you can tell the reason they did this, these flats are designed so that when they get in there, right, down inside that groove,
I see
you can get extra oil flowing around those. That's why they grind it like that.
Okay.
Is to change the oil flow. Now, if you go look at one of them bodies right there, the 1-2 shift, it's got this in it.
I see.
Okay. So I didn't know if there were springs missing in this thing because I couldn't tell what it was. I couldn't tell, what was going on with this guy. This one sits right over here. So once I got this this is out of an 85 S10 with a 2.8 four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So
and the S10 it's going S15 S10 is four-wheel drive, right?
It's the same. It's a four-wheel drive, 2.8 liter.
Yeah.
700 R4. So they both had the same, but this was an 85 S10 with a 2.8 four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So obviously, there was 1,000 bulletins on the 700 over its lifetime. So they kept improving it as they went. So I told the guy last Sunday at church, I said, if this is my transmission, I'm gonna, now that I know where everything goes. And then I went and took the this is the shift kit from Transgo. I went through every spool and I measured it, right? That's 0.4110.
Yep.
And this is on the original. And the later model, there's a 0.4125. So that's differed by 1.5 thousandths. Yeah. 1.5 thousandths.
That's the split one? Is that
no? I'm just showing examples.
Okay, I was like, that's not even. Yeah,
I'll get to that. But see, I went through and just tried to compare because I wanted to make sure this valve body was going to shift the same as this valve body. Right. So I just wanted to check the diameter of the spools. You can see, right, that the spool, the original 2915, the new one, that's a 0.5 thousandths difference. Yeah. Right. Now that could be measurement error. It could just be grinding error. It could just be manufacturing tolerances. Right. Yeah. So, to me, that's the same. Right. That's the same. Here, look at this one. The 4425 on the original. All the original numbers are below. I put all the 85 models above. They're the same. Yep. Right. Now there's a little difference. Right. That's 0.348. Yep. This is 0.388. Yeah. Right. So that's 40 thousandths difference. Now, obviously, that's going to give you a difference in timing, right? Sure. But I attribute that to General Motors was improving the transmission.
Yeah. Well, we say that, but The failure rate stayed the same.
Yeah, but well, there's lots of failures.
That's
but then,
for sure.
Then we get over here. Here's the 1-2 shift. So if you look at the 1-2 shift, it says from 82 to 87. They all have this, and I checked them. Right,
Yeah.
they were both 3575. So I didn't even write the numbers down up here.
Okay.
Because these were identical. These look at the difference. You know, 0.6935, 0.6935, 0.685. They're identical.
Yeah.
Right, so the only difference was this.
Okay.
So you know, this is the only thing I've ever seen a 1-2 shift.
Yeah.
I've never seen a 1-2 shift on that middle. Now, some expert on the old timers, 1700, but if you're rebuilding, and this is valuable information for a 2.8 liter owner.
Yeah.
If they're rebuilding it on their own. Oh, by the way, you can't buy this transmission.
Just go buy another transmission.
Yeah, call Monster Transmission and call Monster and tell them you want a $700 floor for a 2.8. They're going to sell you a V8 transmission, right? Which doesn't have these. Now, by the way, all these, the diameter, a lot of this stuff, you go take apart a V8, all these diameters are much bigger than these.
I mean, that makes sense.
Right? And it's just because it had no horsepower, so they had to shrink this down.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, 100, 115 horsepower on a 2.8 liter, right?
Right.
So there's some minor little tiny differences, but like I told him, I said, if it's me, I'm going to put this in it because this should give me an improved transmission, hopefully. But regardless of even these little tiny improvements right here, when we put the TransGo shift kit in it with the appropriate springs, it should solve any other problems that the transmission might have, you know, this should take care of it. I don't know if it will or not, because there may be some minor differences here that the shift kit didn't take care of, but you know, I rebuilt that. You know, I've rebuilt a lot of these that have gone 10 years on a 700 or a 4L60,
right?
And they're still running perfectly. Other than maybe a little, they drain down if you leave them set too long. You got to pump up the converter to get them when you first start them. So, anyways, so this thing is going together. It's going together today. So, so what I've been doing, I just started a minute ago. I started polishing. And you know the way. If those of you who have never rebuilt one.
Well, all these pins have sat too long. Is that?
No, them are okay. But if you never rebuilt one, I take a Scotch-Brite pad, and my uncle was a full-time transmission rebuilder, Brian Freeman. He rebuilt them continuously, and but he taught me how to do a lot of this stuff. And my dad taught me before him. I got some tricks on the 700s from Brian because he did a lot of them. But you know, you take this Scotch-Brite pad, and you're only working on this edge, right? So I'm only trying to soften that edge right there. So I soften it with a Scotch-Brite pad, and you go through each one of these, softening these edges so that they're nice and smooth, because you want them to slide nice and easy. I'm going to hit it with some solvent. Good, I just got air, because I've already cleaned that one. Yeah. Then what I do is I drop it in the valve body. So it should drop.
There's a spring that follows that one, I assume.
Well, there will be, yeah, but I just want to make sure it moves nice and easy. See, it should just fall right in.
Okay.
Right, and it should fall right out. So if they fall in, fall out like that, that tells me the bore's good and that one's ready to go in the hole. So first thing I do is go through and clean them all up. I rub every one of these down. I've already rubbed these down. I haven't made it through all of them, but I just started rubbing them down to clean them up. This will go in this third bore. I got got some WD-40 in these. I sprayed them down with WD-40 just to keep it from
rusting,
from flashing after I cleaned it all up.
Yeah.
And you can still see there's
a little WD-40 on there.
So that keeps these from falling in and out. That lubricant will drag them.
I see.
But this guy should fall in there. You hear that?
Yep.
Fell all the way to the bottom. That's right. So that's the way you want them to work. When you can hear it. Hear that?
I hear it.
That's nice and free. That's the way I like them to go, and to sound. And so the idea is to go through and do that to each one of these. Once that's done, I'm going to go check the spring. Some of these springs change. The kit says that spring will stay the same. Right, this guy goes right here. I was putting him over here because he was clean. It says no changes on that spring, but there's a new spring for that one. So I'm just going to go through and compare and change the springs.
The color springs are your new ones, right?
No, those come out of this.
Oh.
I think somebody had already
put a shift kit in this.
Somebody had already had worked on this one, you know.
Because that looked like the TransGo colors.
It does.
Okay.
It does, and if you look at the originals out of the original transmission, I've tried to line up a lot of them. They're almost all identical in color. Yeah. There's a little bit of color left in that one. Got a little orange on the inside.
Yep.
That's the factory springs.
Sure.
And there are springs that I don't know I didn't get back.
Oh.
Which was another reason that I said
had to have another one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, because some of the springs don't come in the shift kit.
Yeah.
So I've been, you know, finally when I got this transmission, this was the solution I've been looking for. And I've bought several old transmissions
Right.
over the years and gutted them, just 700s, just looking for parts that might give me a clue. But finally, when we figured out it was for a specific
Special
vehicle,
trans, yeah.
then that got me over the hump.
That makes sense.
So that's my goal today, is put this together.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. My thought on this transmission, and the reason I think we see so many failures, is it might have changed. There might have been engineers working on the transmission team, but it was pretty tried and true, and they had it back in '82, and then they kept using it for nearly 30 years as we got real horsepower. The engine engineers were doing a lot more work than the transmission engineers were, and this thing did not hold up once it got 300 horsepower all the time, and then 400 horsepower, and then of course, you know, people are still actually running trans brake 4L60s at 1,000 horsepower, but it takes a lot of work to do that. And
Yeah, you know, I thought I built pretty powerful transmissions that would hold up a lot because I got all the race parts in them.
yeah, yeah.
But you're the only person I've ever seen who could build out, you know, completely destroy an overrunning clutch. and I just rebuilt it. And you bring it back to me, and it's all welded together in one piece.
Jared broke one a week
Your brother
for a
did it.
while.
Your brother did it. Okay.
He broke. Remember, because he got a Monster, and they kept warrantying it out every month. He'd get another one from them.
Yeah, but I didn't rebuild those.
No,
But
no.
I put all the best hard parts in them, and then you
Yep.
still destroyed it.
Hey, they break.
Yeah.
And that was no horsepower. 250 horsepower Camaro.
You had more horsepower than that.
Doubt.
Yeah.
That car was not fast.
Yeah. So this little guy,
Uh-huh.
he goes back. And you can see he goes in
Yeah.
just like that.
Long orange.
Okay, and then we got a cap to go in. That cap.
Oh,
used
yeah,
to-
these are those tap-in
Yeah,
ones.
well, no, it's not tap. You just push her. You can tap it sometimes. I just push them back in, square them up, line them up,
Oh, I
put
see.
a roll pan in.
I see, it's pinned. It's been a long time.
Yeah, you've helped me do this before.
Yep, quite a few times. That Suburban ate these things, too.
Not the last Suburban.
The...
Now I did rebuild the first one 5 times.
Right. Yeah, every time it pulled 10,000 pounds, it would just eat another transmission.
That's because every single time the
In
person that I
overdrive.
told to drive it, I said, do not drive in overdrive. And we'd drive it to the gas station, and as soon as he left, he'd put it in overdrive,
Uh-huh.
and it would smoke that transmission.
Yep.
Do you know why?
Oh, because lockup, right? Is it?
It's lock up in the converter.
Yeah.
So because I put shift kit in it, you know, he's driving along, and he's putting just enough horsepower on it. It's not downshifting.
Yeah.
It's not downshifting out of overdrive, so it leaves the lockup clutch, which is a single clutch plate about yay big around in the front of the torque converter.
Yeah.
And that's got oil pushing on it, right? Pushing it down. That's lockup, so that you're 1-to-1 right to the rear drive shaft.
Sure.
Right through overdrive.
Right.
Set to the drive shaft. So the overdrive's overspent. The output shaft's spinning faster than the engine.
Right.
So there's enough torque on that. There's enough torque and not enough pressure.
Yeah.
And when you're pulling a big load like that, there was just enough that it would start to slip.
Uh-huh.
And the test revealed that once that starts slipping, it would raise the temperature 1 degree per second.
Yeah, I can believe that.
That's the oil temperature in the converter, would
Right.
raise 1 degree per second. Then what happens is the oil expands so rapidly in the transmission because the transcooler can't get rid of the heat
Sure.
up front.
Sure.
So the oil expands so rapidly in the transmission that it blows it out the overflow tube on top of the transmission, and it basically dumps a bunch of the fluid out of the transmission
Right.
until you get down to the top of the screen
When there's nothing left.
when it can't suck up anymore,
Then
right?
it's- yeah.
Then it goes into full-on slip in the forward clutch,
Uh-huh.
and you get cut loose, and you destroyed the transmission.
Yep.
And believe it or not, the same guy, I never let him drive again after number 3. Now, there was 2 other failures.
I know.
It
It was every year.
Well, almost. There was 2 other failures, because I did it 5 times.
Uh-huh.
One time, I rebuilt it, and this is something I recommend for any 700 R4s. Depends on if you never want to have to take it apart again. I always recommend changing the lockup solenoid.
Ah.
Because on one of mine, the solenoid, the plastic solenoid, there's a brand new one laying right over here. This solenoid right here.
Yep.
This is the clutch lockup.
Uh-huh.
When this thing is made, it's actually a 2-piece mold, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a line right above my thumb.
Right.
It comes right up here. Well, guess what? I rebuilt this thing on for your mother one time. And I put it together and she drove it, I don't know, not very long. And this has just got a ball inside there.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's a plunger that pushes on that ball. And when the ball is pushed up, it shuts off the relief,
and when it's
locks
back,
up the clutch.
Where does it come out? The side right
It just squirts out. Yeah,
those ports?
Yeah, squirts out the ports right there.
Gotcha.
These 2 ports.
Yep, I see.
So what happened was every time this thing would apply, it would push the plunger up in, the pressure would build up here on this side of the tube, and it would actually split this thing out, and there was a split right there in the side of it. So it would go in to lock up and then drop right out.
Yeah.
In to lock up, drop right out. Because as soon as it lost its pressure, it would drop right out. And then you know, and so it was in and out. I was riding with your mother and I said, "Are you doing that?" She said, "No, the transmission's doing it." Well, she'd only been driving it for like 6 months after I'd rebuilt it.
Right.
All because I didn't change this. So this has got a brand new one.
Yeah.
To put back in this transmission. I bought that in 2016.
Yeah.
To put in this transmission.
Yeah.
I also bought a new TransGo plate.
Yep.
Right. And I bought that plate because the old one was pretty hammered up.
I see.
This is the old one. There's the old one.
Yeah.
So
I was like, that
it was pretty dented up. It was pretty worn on the check balls.
Yep.
And so I told the owner, I said, "Hey, just get me a new plate." So this is a non-auxiliary valve body plate for a $700 plate. Okay.
All right.
So back to business here. Okay, so we're going to put this spring, long orange. It goes in first.
And then another cap. You guys can see that spring's right there. Maybe.
Yeah, he is.
You just can't see it.
I'm gonna shove this back a little. Come on, get in there. There it is. Okay, so there's that one. There you can see the
cap.
You can see the valve, and there's the spring.
Oop.
Right there's the spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can come out of.
So he's okay.
Yep.
All right. So there's that one. So I've already cleaned this one, sanded him, blow dried him. So you see he works nice and easy. I'm just going to park that right there for just a second. And then we're going to look for a brown spring.
Brown must be the giant.
That'd be this brown one.
But I don't see a white at all.
There's your white one.
Oh, okay.
Now you can see that's.
They just put it on the end.
It says to put them together. Right?
Yep.
That's.
It's a lot of spring.
That's a lot of spring compared to this old red guy, right?
Yep.
That's a lot. That don't even fit in this one. Because this is so much smaller.
Yeah, the diameters.
Because it's for this little guy. So there's no way we can use that.
Okay. So maybe.
And
how's white feel?
The white spring.
Oh, it says only brown.
Only.
Yeah.
So in this case, I'm gonna go back with the original red.
Makes sense.
He fits down in there.
Yep.
So anyways, that's part of the game with this baby. Figuring out what goes where. Now we got our other guy in here already. So we want him to slide to the back. And he did. So this is part of the reason that I couldn't put this together without having a known good transmission that I could use for a model.
All right, we got a couple of these valves in there.
Yeah, that whole side's all done.
Yep.
It's all valved up and ended up a lot of the springs. If you're rebuilding an 80 and early a 2.8 liter V8 4-wheel drive, it's very important. I used the yellow spring out of the kit, and I used the orange spring, and the only reason that I chose to use them was I think it's a little bit stronger, but I didn't want to make too many changes. And some of these others, I couldn't change them because you can definitely tell they're for
huge change.
They're for a V8.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wasn't going to put the V8 springs in it because the valves are bigger in diameter. I'm just going to leave them. We're not going to put them in. And now we're ready to do the TV. So anyways, if you're doing a early 82, 83, 84, or 85 with a 2.8 liter, it's very important that you just can't get these things, to my knowledge. I mean, somebody may have them, but I haven't been able to find them. All
right, we've got the valve body together over there. Can't see it, but it's ready to go on. But the transmission needs a couple things here. Looks like you got a new seal on there.
Yep.
Oh, did you put the yellow in it?
Yep.
Okay. Decided which one was lighter, the yellow one or the red one?
Well, the red one's quite a bit bigger.
Oh, okay. So you probably want the lighter one.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of difference there, so I'm going to put that one in.
Okay.
I think this was the 2 originals.
So we've got the valve body separator plate on there and the gaskets. And first, before the valve body goes on, you have to tighten down the Z plate here. So
just kind of hold the gaskets in place. So I put these 2 bolts in here first.
Line everything up.
To line the plate and the gaskets up. And then while I got them in, I'm just going to snug these. I'm going to come back and torque them after a while, after we get it all together. So.
And of course these gaskets were folded in half in the kit, so you have to actually make sure they lay out flat before you tighten these down.
So I'll come back with a torque wrench and hit all this. That's good.
One click on that crescent wrench ought to do it.
That's right.
I guess if you hear it click, you really did it.
That's right. Go buy another bolt.
That's what it's done forever.
Or another case.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll hold that down.
All right. Well, kind of.
Yeah, it won't come up. Okay, now we got some more check balls. Trans gel in there to hold these balls in place. Just so they stay in place when I turn it upside down.
Is this one really? It just rolls around in a circle?
Yep.
That one's kind of... So it goes...
It's trapped into here.
Yeah, okay. I see.
Okay, so there's my trans gel.
So all the other balls in here, if you guys haven't seen, they're in the valve body right now, but they end up in these positions and they go between those positions right there.
There's 1, 2, no, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
yep.
Plus this big extra heavy duty one. Okay, so we're ready to, that's extra large. We're ready to drop the valve body on. So I put a little gel on here just so they don't fall out.
Where do you want the shifter link?
I'm going to put the shifter link right in here like that. Normally you don't have this on there.
Right. Because
It's kind of painful.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I can see that.
So you just got to get this in place. Make sure you don't
Pick up the gasket too much.
ruin your gasket.
Yeah.
Now that's down.
There. About right.
Okay, that goes there, and put one over here.
Like this one?
Yeah.
Seems like it started.
Yep. It's all good.
That's it. It's done.
Okay, now we got to put this guy back in. We want to gel him up some so he can't fall out of there. We'll put a little gel. It don't take a whole lot, just to hold him in place. While I drop him down in there, put a little extra right on there so he can't get back out. This is oil. This is transmission oil soluble, so it'll dissolve right into the
Fluid.
right into the transmission fluid. If you put you don't ever want to put regular grease on here, because regular grease won't dissolve by transmission fluid. That's the end of that one. That guy right there, so we drop him in. Okay, and then this one drops in right on top of him. And then we push him down in. Gotta make sure you get the circlip in right. One side's rounded, so it was stamped out going this way. So you always want to put it in the case with the sharp side looking up, not the rounded side looking up. So we'll drop that right in there like that.
Hold the punch.
Yeah, hold that punch.
There you go.
This is a little bit easier to do without the valve body in there, but it ain't bad.
Well, it should be it. It's got a new spring in it.
Yeah, it looks like I was starting to put it together years ago.
Yeah.
There's a piston laying right here. This is the piston that goes in it.
Spring
We'll
seat on the bottom.
Drop
then a
that in
blue
there.
piston upside down.
Piston goes in. I'm just going to put just a dab.
Of assembly lube.
I always take my assembly lube when I buy my trans gel and notch it like that.
Yeah.
That way I can keep this clean, because I always want that to stay clean. And I just put a little on there, just so it don't go together dry. That's just a centering piece down there. It keeps that spring centered.
Yeah.
And this goes on.
It doesn't push in, does it? It's on there.
I'll get her lined up right. It should go down in. There it goes.
Okay.
So there's that one. Then you get the orange one. Okay. This piston should be the same as the other case piston. Okay, so this guy, he goes down like that.
We need a 10 on a electric ratchet to tighten that thing down. You got to get some pressure on there.
Yeah, this is from tearing apart the tranny the other night.
The
tools. Yeah, there's a little more accumulator in there than the original.
Oh, for sure. The double spring setup.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before it just had them little lightweight ones in there. Now we got to put the TV valve on. He's going to go right here. The TV control is going to go right there. This goes like that. 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 Okay. Those are just snugging until I torque them. Okay. This will come back off for the TV. Okay, I already put the rest of the bolts in, so this one here always gets this little guy on him.
Retainer or?
Yeah, that's for the filter.
Ah, yeah.
And one here. Make sure they all screw in easy.
I'm checking.
This one right here gets this washer on it for the wiring.
I see.
I should have 2 extra bolts when I'm done because I started with 2 old bolts.
It's easier if I get rid of that.
Oh, let's get rid of this. Oh, need to loosen this one up because this one here won't go.
Ah. Well, I tried. Okay, it's loose.
Let's slip around a little bit. Okay, there's that one. Need to get them all in.
Yep.
Let me get the TV kicked down.
The last.
That piece, I laid it here 10 years ago. 8 years ago.
Uh-huh. I bet it's there. On the bench.
Underneath all these valve bodies somewhere.
Power tools would be good here.
Okay.
That pretty much gets it.
This goes right here. There's your TV.
Yep.
This sits right on this pin.
I see.
It goes right there. It goes right there. All we gotta do is put the TV in it. Okay, and we gotta put the wiring.
Yeah, you want that one loose or?
And I've got 2 bolts to go in here for the.
Don't know.
I think it'll fit under there.
Okay.
The early model one had those clips that go underneath bolts.
Uh-huh.
The later model has
Ah.
one clip and this. So I'm gonna use
The later one?
I'm gonna use this later one, and we're gonna cut this off. Make sure them are clean.
Oh, yeah. I see. And then this guy, you just squeeze it back in there. Tighten down this washer. Weird. You'd think it would have another washer on that one too or something to...
Yeah, that's all they've ever had is just that one washer that I've ever seen. These go like that. I gotta get a filter put on it.
Still needs a filter.
So we'll put the filter in, and for tonight, oh, look at that. That's a 4L60E.
Oh, is it?
See that?
Yeah, I see. I see the E stamping.
Yeah, that's the one he gave us. I gotta, but I need to put the filter on, and put the filter on and put a gasket on it. I've got a converter to go here, and I've got to get the seal that goes on the 2.4 piston. So my helper had left that out, and I don't know where it's at. So I don't know if he threw it away but I can buy that one little piece.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
Well, that's it. That's GM's transmission that lasted way too long.
I can finally get this thing out of my shop after all these years. I can't wait.
Yep.
We'll carry it. Oh, look at there.
What? Oh. It's been on there for years, huh?
Okay, it's a good deal. Thank you for the help.
Yep. Well, it needs to, as soon as you're out of here, We can do the Mercedes carbs.
That's next.
Yep.
So when you come back, I'll have all this
All gone?
buttoned up and put away.
Cool. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop at WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time.
There's the kit.
Oh, you found the original kit?
Yep.
All right, well, we're making progress as we wrap this up, guys, but we needed a filter, a pan gasket, one more seal, and this thing is 100% ready to go. Oh, look at that. There's that new converter. Man, what a baby.
Bought that 8 years ago.
It's going to need a bunch of fluid in it. I've never seen a converter be that much of a pain.
Yeah. Well,
It's trying.
I have a feeling this is the wrong one.
It might.
I have a feeling this is the wrong one because there's a small shaft and a big shaft.
Uh-huh.
That sure looks like the right size shaft.
Maybe they ordered the big truck converter instead of the S10 converter.
There it went.
Oh, it went right on. Of course. Of course.
Tip that up. I'm going to take a piece of wire
Tie it on.
and go across there and tie that in so he can't slip out. So I'll get the wire for that.
Well, we found the pan gasket, but we did not find the filter in the rebuild kit, so I guess that's where we're stopping the night. Oh, you found the filter in the rebuild kit. Look at that.
We bought everything to do it.
Yeah. Filter accomplished.
Can't believe it.